So I just wanted to ask you a couple things about the situation going on right now. I've heard from a bunch of people saying this isn't that serious and people shouldn't take it seriously. What is your message to people about how they should limit their social interaction right now?
Well, I guess the short answer is that you should take it seriously. Um, and the reason is the best thing I've seen is containment is the only thing that works on the early stage. So we have this opportunity 2 weeks in. We have, I don't know, 3,000 people now infected. It's up from, I don't know, 25 2 weeks ago, maybe. Um, and containment, I have friends, some of my students live in Italy in the quarantined areas. And containment is the only thing that's worked that's slowed it down. Um, and the biggest thing is you can't really think about yourself. You have to think that you actually have whatever this, and you can spread it easily to somebody else. It's, hospitals, old folks' homes, old people in general, they have a much higher mortality than everybody else in this disease. And that's also the thing that can clog a hospital up. So the worst place for the disease is a hospital, and an old folks home, because it can spread there. And the population, those are the populations that are most at risk. So containment early keeps the virus from spreading. It's the only way. If you wait too long, you have to deal with it in hospitals, and then you have to come up with more aggressive containment strategies when people possibly have worse symptoms. When the samples get bigger, the infection gets bigger, more people have worse symptoms. Right now, most of the people, 60-70% of them, will have it and don't even know. And those are the ones that are spreading it, and that's actually the problem. It's not the sick people, because you can figure those people out. It's the healthy people. So, limiting your activity, you go to work, you do the things that you can do, but you practice kind of the containment. You're not moving to other cities unnecessarily. You're not traveling unnecessarily. Think of it like a 2-week vacation from your normal, awesome life, and you're just you're laying as low as possible, doing work, following all the procedures of washing and stuff. So it's just, there's 100 times more value, actually, it's, log scale, right? It's 1,000 times, 100,000 times more valuable to do it now, and this is all the data, South Korea, China, Italy now, than it is to do it a month from now, when it just spreads faster, because more people get it, the faster it spreads. So and it's a different virus than before. It's very easy to spread, but not lethal to the young. Other viruses, like the what is it, swine flu of 1918, and that was the
SARS.
Spanish flu, I guess.
Yeah.
SARS. Those are actually relatively hard to catch, but relatively lethal. This is only really lethal to the older population. So that's why right now, sort of containment and sort of staying out, not in contact with older people, just has more value. That's what I would say. So.
Yeah, I've heard it expressed as flattening out the curve, and that's kind of referring to the fact that we need to give the authorities the time, buy them time to process the people through the system who are sick, so it doesn't become a bottleneck in that system. So the longer we can kind of stretch things out and prevent that bottleneck until we've kind of reached the peak and gone past it, that's crucial at this point. I think that the word goes out to everybody: limit your social interaction, but help buy the authorities time to process the situation.
Exactly. And the reality is, with the size of the country we have, right, and so many people insisted on flying, even when, the China thing, and we shut down China, and they had warnings about other countries, but it didn't stop people from doing anything. There's still thousands of people coming into the country, oblivious to what they're doing. You read reports about people that have had it, and literally no common sense. So there's nothing we can do about that at this point. What you can do is, try to limit the spread, and, think of it as, Italy could be well out of this in a month, right? because they've had to do drastic things now, and that way, also you don't want to put the whole world out of work for 4 months.
Right.
Then we have a problem. Because then we have actual real people suffering, everybody suffering.
Yeah.
So it's much more important now to do that and to be mindful that you're the solution. So if you insist on going out and partying, do whatever, you could be causing a much, much worse problem down the road. One person can affect many people, especially in the wrong. Let's call it what we used to call a fun environment is unfortunately for a few weeks the wrong environment for right now. It's just hold it for the summertime. It's just not going to happen right now.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, I'd seen you post on Facebook, and I thought that was an important message for people because I know people get their news from a variety of different sources these days, and I think the message has been lost on a lot of people. With this media we've had recently of like everything's a huge deal, it's almost like the media cried wolf too many times, and nobody takes anything seriously anymore. But this is a message that I really believe has to get out there. So I appreciate you helping spread it.
No problem. And I think when the market, personally, that they put so many things, the Fed, whatever, if you think about it, they're ready to do what's necessary. The problem is if you're looking at the stock market and volatility, the vol market is just saying, we don't see an end to this yet. And I don't think you see an end until you see successful containment measures carried out in G7 countries. France, Germany, there's in the early stages. Italy got run over because they have a lot of Chinese immigrants, a lot of Chinese nationals in the country that just happened to come back from Wuhan. It was just bad timing, basically. I don't think you're going to see vol really come in. It's going to stay volatile until you see the effect of whatever containment policies they come up with. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. The U.S. are like, okay, they're doing something, but is it going to work? And and it looks like states are doing something, so that's very important.
Yeah, and I think that the administration does get some credit for starting to take this seriously recently, and the latest what that's come out of them. So that's a positive. As far as the market and recovery, just really quickly, is there something that we should be looking for to see that like the tide has turned slightly? Are we going to get some big capitulation event? Do you think, or is it just unknown what's going to happen in the future?
Well, you got record VIX,
right,
and we're down 20% from the top.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty good start.
Okay.
The market's kind of efficient. They're like, okay, the last 2 years, we're just going to, all that stuff we thought after China, all this good stuff, whatever, that's all gone now. So
right.
They just removed all that. Now, we're looking for turning the corner. So what you need to see is consecutive days of, VIX going down. Okay. You need to see days where we're not still making 5, 6, 7% moves. It just hasn't happened yet because, it's going to stay volatile. So I ask everybody, it's like, how many of my students are buying stock right now? Like going out and just buying more stock. Right. Everybody's like, no, who's selling puts right now? And they're pretty conservative. And they're just not yet. Even, I made a joke last week, pick a ridiculous price and go lower and you can get there. So, for me, I'm just buying a little stock every 2 weeks and trying to keep as much powder dry as possible. But, I'm not doing anything crazy because I don't know how long this is going to go, plus I want to have some cash left because ultimately you don't know.
Right.
And I haven't seen it turn enough yet for sustained days. And I think that's, I think once you see like Italy works, that containment works, we've seen that. It has to be transferred over here so the population at large understands that that's what has to happen. I think once you see that, then things will start to right themselves. Where the market goes back to, who knows? But
right.
It can be, who knows? There's so much liquidity in the system, right? It's like when they start pulling it out when everybody's happy, that's, you don't know what's going on there. So
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that the estimates are now that this crisis will reach an apex within the next 8 weeks, as far as the in the United States, and so that seems to be a reasonable expectation that in the next 8 weeks we could see, at least, not talking about the market necessarily, but at least the country turn a corner as far as like being the center of this crisis. So that's not a super long time to stay indoors, and I just encourage people to stay calm. It's not that big of a deal to stay inside and do your part to protect everybody around you.
yeah, if you don't have to go to work, people still have to go to work, and we still need economic activity. But if it's not vital, don't do it, because you're just removing yourself from the equation. Just don't hoard stuff and all that.
Right.
Be reasonable. Italy still has food. Okay, they've been in a lockdown for 2 weeks. People are still doing work there. They're just trying to keep people separated, especially old people. And that's what we need.
Yep. And we have a big country with a lot of space. We can keep apart for a little while. All right. Well, listen. Thanks so much for joining me for a second. I know you're busy, and I'll let you get back to it. Nice to talk to you, and stay in touch.
All right. Okay, dude. Take care, man.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
buddy.